Transparently, so you can see my struggles. With this music, I get vulnerable. This mic is like a shovel. Got me digging through my trauma like this body's in this rubble. The destruction of my temple happened to me different levels. Adolescent years for me was difficult. I was a rebel. Never understood the difference with two brothers. I'm the middle one. Couldn't put my finger on it. I just felt the middle one. Suicidal ideations. I was just a little one. Maybe I just wanted some attention from my mama. With no daddy in the picture, started looking for a father. This turned into a mission. Prison buses took me farthest from the tree I could have fallen. Left my daughter with no father. Exactly what I didn't want. Chances wasn't given one. The system got a hold of me and never let me go. Cause the color of my skin.
Are you gonna read this off on here?
I mean, it's for notes mainly.
You should read it off so people know.
Yeah, well, I'll break it down
so they can get your course.
Yeah. Another session. Hey, before we get started, I wanted to just give a shout out to No Shave November, right? 2009, this thing was started.
That's it?
It was 2009. No, I was like a Hill family out of Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
I think it started behind a dad or somebody passing away from like colon cancer.
Right.
And so it's about awareness. And I recently Googled it to see if it was like still a thing. Apparently it is. So that's what I'm doing. I know you guys are used to seeing the chops or the beard or all that.
So you shaved it down.
Yeah.
October 31st or October. And
around there. Yeah.
And then you're supposed to grow it the whole time.
The whole month. It's supposed to be, for awareness, for men's health. It started around cancer, but also just all men's health. And that led me to start thinking about like, I'm going to make a doctor's appointment this month to honor that because I just don't go.
Neither do I.
But I haven't checked anything. Like my wife went, and when she was like, "Yeah, everything's good. I'm hella healthy," and that, I was thinking like, "Damn, I wonder if I am feel healthy."
The last checkup I got was the free one they gave me in Shelton.
Yeah.
I did all those though. You know they give you all the options. I did all of them.
I do every. Yeah, when I'm locked up,
test me for everything.
It's a reason to get out your cell.
Right. That too.
Go to the medical floor.
All out.
Yeah, I need to leave the cell. I need all the tests. I need all the blood work. Yeah, I need everything.
I need to be on the call out.
So I guess if I count that was for me. It was like 2020. They do TB, AIDS. They do everything. They do all the blood work, everything. Make sure everything's good, physical. I was good then. I mean, 210, 215, benching
also
335,
doing
working out,
productive, eating 3 times a day on a routine.
Sometimes more.
Right?
Spreads, top ramen bowls.
Depending on how much you want on the poker table, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Hey, so let me ask you this: No Shave November. I don't grow facial hair. I grow this and everything. I just don't grow it. I can't grow a beard. But do you line it up, or is it just rugged the whole time?
You can. Because like when I was googling
the big parts.
Yeah, when I was googling, it said you can tighten it up. It said like I was like, well, what are the standards? Like I looked into it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like, typically if someone were to do it, they would shave down prior to November 1st and then just go. But you could tighten it up, however.
Right. People got jobs and stuff. You can't just be walking in there looking all crazy, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. I might just
go rugged, huh?
I'm interested to see what happens after a month of nothing. Just
Does your hair grow hella big?
I wouldn't say it grows like super big. Like it does get like this gets really long.
You already got a 5 o'clock shadow already.
It happened. I mean, I shaved a couple days ago.
Okay.
So it wasn't Halloween. It was like the night before.
Right. Still, that's a lot though. 2 days.
We'll see what happens in 30 days.
Yeah, man. I can't grow a beard, man. I can't. And I remember when I was younger, I used to want a beard so bad. Like want a beard. All my friends had beards, but then now that I'm older, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I've never shaved in my life. Only time this gets cut is when my barber Tomas does it with the clippers. Other than that, I don't have to do nothing.
Yeah. Shout out Thomas. Yeah.
Tomas. And I've been rocking with Tomas for over 2 years now, man. I was sitting there thinking about the other day. It's crazy how fast time goes, man. It's already November of 2024. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It's even wild. It's even wilder.
Crazy.
And I'm not even sure if I was going to bring it up this session, but since you brought up time, right? So recently, I filed a motion to terminate my probation early.
Mhm.
Now, if this goes through here pretty soon, um, yeah, about a week or so, I would know. If it goes through, I started to think about this. It would be the first time in 28 years that I didn't have probation, some type of judicial entanglement, a warrant, or being on bail.
Right.
It'll be the first
So
time.
accomplishment, man.
It'll be the first time in 28 years, man, that I would actually be like free. Like I could go get a passport
If I wanted to, right.
Oh, I want
gotta
to.
ask nobody.
Ain't no if about it.
Don't gotta check in
I'm going
with
to get a
nobody.
passport. Yeah, like don't gotta check in with nobody. Don't gotta go pee in a cup. Like it's surreal to think about the journey, bro, of just like spending my entire not only adult life, but
Right.
like
Before
I'm 40 years old, bro. So 28 years. The first time I had cuffs put on me in Washington was 12. I was 12 years old.
Was there a time before Washington? Because the way you said it.
Well, I mean, I was no, I never been incarcerated before Washington.
Right.
I, regular whatever, get in trouble and stuff. But in New York, before we came to Washington, the police officer, it was different. It's community. It's different levels to community and how they engage. Like, the cops grew up with your parents. Like it's
Right.
It's more, it's more personal. So like, if you were to get like in trouble or steal a candy bar from a store, they're not trying to run you through the juvenile system.
They're
They'll
gonna
go tell your mom.
They're
Your
gonna
mom's
pull
gonna
up to your
beat your
house
ass.
with you, right? Knock on the door.
They gonna call your pops because they know who you are.
Right.
Well, boy, if you don't,
Right.
what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Now you got to work off this candy bar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was it was correct. It was parenting, like the police parent your kids essentially, rather than they weren't looking to fill the juveniles
Right.
with little black kids. And it's just but yeah, man, I was just thinking about that. Like it's gonna be I won't say odd, but it's something to think about.
Surreal,
yeah, something to think about, man.
That's a whole lifetime. 28 years. That's a lifetime, man.
Yeah, life sentences are less than that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
good point. Put it that way.
Yeah. So
Yep.
What's going on, like with with everything, bro? What would you say one of the biggest things that you repress just in everyday life? Like, I know you mentioned a little bit. It's like you had said something like, motherfuckers don't give a fuck because like I'm a man, I have to, and I just
motherfuckers don't care. It doesn't matter.
But we here, bro. This is our authentic space to really get into some stuff sometimes, and I just want to know, like, I'll go next. I'll think about it. Well, but what is like the biggest thing, like with your family, with maybe your work, that you keep inside?
Well, to add on to what you were saying, being a man, right, and just in general, black, white, orange. If you have a family, nobody cares, right? It doesn't matter. Get your motherfucking ass up and go to work, right? And it's not to say that if dad doesn't feel good, they don't care. Oh, okay. But at the end of the day, the kids still got to eat, right? They still got to eat, and it's different for like a man and a woman. If like a woman doesn't feel good, it's almost a
just like operational meltdown.
Right.
Everything in the house it just starts.
Exactly. If a man doesn't feel good, it's kind of like, okay, well, take some ibuprofen and still get out that door. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. It's what it is. And I just feel like sometimes I feel like damn, I just don't get a break. I just don't get a break. And it's not anyone else's fault. Maybe I need to be more proactive in scheduling a break, right? Take some time off, maybe get away. But you just get so caught up in life and so caught up in work and Next thing you know, it's October or it's November 2nd of 2024, and this year's almost over. And you look back on it and you're like, geez, man, I've just worked this entire year. You know what I mean? And you know how, like, not that I make New Year's resolutions, but when you go into a year, I think everyone has a certain vision. And I didn't accomplish my vision this year. If I can be honest and objective, I got so caught up in the mundane and the routine that
Elaborate. So when you say mundane and routine, like this year, a lot's happened for you, with you, around
right,
you. You
right.
know, you went from one kid to all three.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you went from one set of extracurricular activities to three
Yep.
individual different curricular activities. You and your partner work.
Yep. Yep.
So when you say like mundane and routine, like elaborate. Like
I need to find a better way of managing my schedule slash my kid's schedule, my time slash my kid's time. There has to be a more efficient way to do this, right? There has to be. And next year, I'm literally Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm Mrs. Doubtfire.
So break it down.
I go to work
Monday through Friday. What's the typical week
Monday
look like?
through Monday. Monday through Monday. Not Monday through Friday. Monday through
I stand corrected.
Monday. Right.
What's the
It's 4 a.m. to midnight. That's just my day. 4 a.m. to midnight.
So you got 19 jobs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
3 kids.
Yep.
Cooking. Break it down.
Cook. If this means practice, if this means and listen, the kids don't drive. They don't have money. So it is my job to get them to activities, especially now that it's cold, right? Whether that's the trampoline park, whether that's skate land, whether that's the rack, whether that's Tangle Wild Pool. You know what I mean? And so next year, I just would like to find a more efficient way to do it, right? I'm just always on the go. And it's just it's just starting to wear me down a little bit. But I will tell you one thing I did. One thing I did, which bought me a little time, I got a pressure cooker. And I freaking love that thing. I freaking love that thing, man. And now because a lot of time is spent standing over the stove, right? There's an hour and 15 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour and 15, standing over a stove. Now I can put the ingredients in there. I can set it. I can take someone to practice, come back, it's done. Feed you, and you. Let's get in the showers. We even got time to go to skate land for an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that pressure cooker has bought me a lot of time. I've only had it for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I love that thing.
For us, it was the air fryer.
Mm-hmm.
The air fryer, fries, nuggets, tater tots.
They're nice and crispy too.
Oh yeah, we put Spam in there. Like,
ooh, I never thought about that.
Yeah, Lacey will cut them up, throw Spam, ring up, fill the whole thing up, put the Spam in there, beep, walk away.
Spam,
yeah, them Costco chicken nuggets, fire.
Yeah, that's what we
the big greenback, yeah, fire. But they're delicious. 15 minutes in air fryer, right? And then, yeah. And Lacey's got the crock pot. So, and it's that season.
Right.
So soups and roasts, like those are things you can just boop, walk away.
Do you guys meal prep?
Nah, not really. Like she does, there's just one thing she did that was pretty dope is, I don't know what they're called, but it's like egg with some ingredients in them, and they go in the sheets, like cupcake sheets.
You talking about,
and then they go in the oven, and they're like little, I don't know, they're like little protein balls, but there's like, she put egg and peppers and bacon and all that in the cupcake sheets. Stick them in there, and then you can those are like 30 seconds in the microwave to get back heat.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Fire.
They look like a muffin almost.
Yeah. But they're little,
exactly.
little egg joints.
Starbucks too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think she's seen it on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
She be getting a lot of fire stuff from TikTok. But like So typical day, you're he said 4 a.m. to
4 a.m.
midnight
to midnight every day.
every day.
Well, there are a couple of days I do get to sleep in a little bit on a couple off days, but at the same time, even if tomorrow I didn't have to do anything, and I turned off every single alarm, my body, I would still wake up at 3:45 and just be kind of looking around. You know what I mean? It's just part of me.
What's with the basketball though?
Oh, I got that too. I got City League. Tore my knee up, man. I'm going through that. I'm limping around. I'm just getting old. But you know, you have to take. Listen, let me tell you guys something. We don't take bumps the way we used to take bumps. We have to stretch out. We're not 25 no more. If you're gonna,
I was stretching right before you got here.
got to.
I do it in my office sometimes. Like I'll be at the
So
desk.
important.
I'll just stand up, bro, and just just touch my toes and just breathe, and then get my legs closer and closer to where I'm just like
Right.
a complete just hands, palms on the ground.
Oh, you could palm?
Yeah, and just stretch
Palm.
and just relax because I start waking up with like pains.
Mm.
You know, how, like your neck will get kinked.
Yep.
But sometimes it'll be like this whole side of my back. But I know it's not like bone. It's like muscle. You know what I mean? So it's like as soon as I freaking stretch, pull out the yoga mat, do a couple.
Good, huh?
Bro, it's like instant relief.
It is. It is.
Instant. And I'm like,
you feel so much better right when you're done stretching. That's so true.
Yeah. I did the chiropractor appointments for a couple months ago. That was helping because I kept waking up and I couldn't turn all the way. And he was like, 40% motion this way, 60% this way, 70% this way.
Wait, so he was cracking you up?
Yeah, so basically I don't have no full range of motion with my neck. I know everybody be joking because I don't really have a neck when I be lifting.
Right.
But yeah, my motion was shot, bro. My spine is like damn near straight. I don't have like no curvature. And I don't know if a lot of that's from just sleeping on them bunks.
I know.
Steel for years. Like you don't realize, being incarcerated for all those years, like that is hard on the body.
It
that
is,
so much stress, and stress in the mind converts to the body.
That good for you, and you're walking on concrete everywhere you go, and jumping up and down a bunk for years on. Because I prefer the top bunk. Going. Like if we move into the cell together, I'm trying to get top. Oh, you want top too?
Yeah, already know.
Or we do 6 months, switch. 6 months, switch. 6 months, switch. That's what me and my partner did. 6 months, switch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where do you guys shop?
4
groceries. Where do you guys shop?
Safeway now because it's down the street.
Right.
It's spendy, but they got the little app thing where it does help. Walmart, and then Costco is bulk stuff. But I know my wife.
Costco and get hit, bro.
Well, I know. Actually, my wife was just talking about it because it's like a lot of times when you're buying this bulk stuff, you're literally only saving like $2 to $3. And I get they were doing the math, and then if you pay for this $100 membership or whatever the membership fee is, it basically adds up to your savings. So you're not. It's like It's like a trick.
But you can get that check at the end of the year if you do it right, though.
That's what my wife's sister was just saying in their family chat. And like she was like, I never got a check, and we've had this shit for years.
Right. She didn't know about it?
Mm-mm.
But you have to use their credit card, right? Use it for like gas and you just pay it right off or whatever.
Oh, you got to have the credit card. See, we just had a Costco,
the
big
membership.
membership.
About the credit card is the interest rate is 20%. So don't use the credit card unless you're literally going to use it. Pull out your phone and pay off the gas that you just got. So your interest is 20%, which should be illegal. But let's talk about this too. I'm about to start couponing or something, man. You guys are realizing the prices of things are getting out of hand. And then here in a couple of days, today's November 2nd, here in a couple of days, a lot of things are probably going to change, man. Once we get this verdict on who the president's going to be.
Oh, that's on what day?
I forget, but
it's this week,
6th or 15th or something. I don't know. It's soon. I know it's in November.
It's this month that they find out who won.
I'm pretty sure.
And then whatever happens in January.
They get inaugurated in January. But we're in a situation as a country that no matter who wins, there's going to be a lot of people upset.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of people upset.
I don't follow politics, and probably for good reason. For me, it was mental health, and it started in prison. Right, I realized if I became unattached to certain external things that to me were essentially vices, like if we can't talk about our football teams, or our positions on political views without animosity being a result of the conversation, that's a vice. That's not healthy dialogue or debate. In there, prison politics is incredibly high stakes.
Right.
Out here, it's a little bit less. It's
fairly pretty high stakes out here too.
Well, I mean, it could be low stakes but it depends on the setting. You go to the wrong bar, start drinking, have a political conversation against the opposition, and then there's a bar fight.
Right, they're gonna bust you over the head with a bottle, right?
Yeah, and in prison you could get stabbed. So it's incredibly high stakes to really voice a certain opinion. Like when you talk about getting canceled in prison, like it's way different, right?
You literally get canceled.
Yeah, so like I also use that as it's kind of been my superpower to not get offended or take things personal. Like even in my work, when I'm maneuvering through the community and people are having certain opinions, or I hear, oh, this person said this about you, I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Right. You get to a point where you don't even care what people think. I don't care. That's a good place to be in. I could give two shits what anyone thinks about me. It's a good place because I can remember like growing up where that really, really used to matter to me. The way that I conducted my everyday life was almost based on what others thought about me. Now I wear what I want to wear, act how I want to act. I can give two shits, man. It's a good place to be in.
I mean, bro, earlier when I was talking about it's been 28 years since I've been all the way, there's different levels to this freedom thing, right? So I've been free almost never my whole life, like free. So like if you're talking about judicial involvement, judicial entanglements, then there's the freedom of self. So it's like even if you're in jail, you can set yourself free internally by deciding not to engage in certain malarkey, right? That's one form of freedom. And then there's released. So you're in there, you set yourself free internally, mentally. You're like, man, none of this shit matters. I'm only going to be thinking about what I'm going to do after I get out, right? So that's its own kind of freedom. But then there's the release date where they physically let you out of being incarcerated.
Right.
But that could be to a halfway house, a work release, or a bracelet. Right. And then there's that. So there's the two stages of that release. There's the release to the community, but then you have to still get released from your community supervision release.
Okay.
Which is like you go to the halfway house. You're still incarcerated. You're still
in jail, pretty much.
Yeah, you're still incarcerated, but you get to go to work, whatever. Then they give you an ankle monitoring.
Right.
But when you get released from the ankle monitoring, you're still, having to report to probation, DOC, supervision, whatever the case may be, right? So then the last level of that is free from. So it's like there's this internal freedom, there's being released, and then there's free from any obligations to anybody about you, about yourself. There's like that ultimate full autonomy. So when you're free from, then there's no probation, there's no paper, there's no debt. You don't owe anybody anything. And so if this judge rules in my favor, that's where I would have went through all the stages.
Right.
Because I set myself free back when I was calling you from inside of there. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is part of the plan that we talked about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago.
I think it's a little bit longer than that,
At least.
I get what you're saying, right?
You know what I'm saying? And so to actually get off paper, to get like a passport, to really be, have legit autonomy, within the constraints of our society's laws and restrictions, but to have that type of freedom where if I want to leave the country, I can.
Right.
You know,
I don't gotta ask nobody. I don't gotta tell nobody.
Exactly.
I can just go. And you know what? It was actually Halloween night. One night when you called me, I remember. So what was that? 3-4 years ago? It was Halloween night when we're talking about this. We're talking about all this.
Yeah.
I remember standing. We were out in Lacey, and there's his house. They got like a projector against the garage. I think I heard Lacey talking about it one day.
Yeah.
And
I think
like,
you guys talked about it on Love and Lacey podcast.
Yeah, and I was talking to you on the phone, and I was watching and you were talking about all this. Crazy.
Yeah. But it's good, man. So when the other thing, what are you doing? So I was going to go back to the basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would you identify that as an obligation you signed up for, or self-care?
Probably a little bit of both.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, is that a job? Is that something that? And so maybe the definition is, when you got a game, are you like, hell Absolutely. Yeah, I'm about to? Absolutely. Or is there any of like, damn, I got this game?
No. Okay, so it's yes, but then it's like, how do I navigate this around their schedule? Because again, right, I try to get them out every day. One has taekwondo, one has gymnastics, and I've missed a game or two because of their schedule, and it's all good. But for me, it's just there's only if there was 32 hours in a day,
you still wouldn't be enough time. No, you wouldn't.
I'd be fine.
No, you wouldn't, because you'd find 36 hours worth of shit to do.
It's just always something, and a lot of it has to do with our schedules, right? I'm off work during these hours, and she's going to work during the night hours, right? So I told you, bro, I'm literally Mrs. Doubtfire. That should be my name. You guys see me in the streets, just call me Mrs. Doubtfire now.
No, if you could be in a position, and I recently said this to my wife, because if I was in a position where I could make enough to where she could choose to work or not, I definitely would. I definitely would be like, boom. Like, she thinks like it's lazy of me because
it's like lazy of you?
No, what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay.
You know, like when I was in the game, bro, I paid a driver. I had people come and do yard work, all the stuff. And what I tried to explain to her, because she's not a entrepreneur minded person.
Right.
She has her strengths. I have my strengths. That's why I don't believe 50-50 relationships work. I believe you bring 100% of all of you healed attributes, characteristics, and strengths, and I bring 100% of what mine are, and they're not going to be the same.
Right.
Some might be, but we get to share in that experience. That's 100% and 100%. Right. So my 100% involves entrepreneurship, big picture thinking, long-term planning, et cetera, et cetera. And so, and I've read so many books, and I believe in, rich people stay rich because they buy themselves time. If you have 100%. 3 or 4 kids and you have 100%. A big house, you're not lazy because you have what they call a nanny or somebody who comes and prepares 3 meals or a driver. No, because that amount of money that you're paying that driver so that you can sit in the back and have that business meeting or communicate with 100%. Other people to make residual transactions, you're buying time.
And time's the most important thing.
Yeah, because if you don't have the time, that 32 hours in a day, then you can't do the things that you feel will be necessary. So maximizing your time, it, to me, is one of the many ways that I've read and seen rich people stay rich, is like allocating. And sometimes it takes money to 100%. Be able to allocate tasks.
100%.
And if I had the bread, hell yeah, I'd have somebody who maybe, even if it was just dinners.
Right.
Hey, I'm just going to pay you to come in at this time, 5 days a week, and produce us a menu so the kids have a routine. They know what's for dinner all throughout the week, whatever, schedule it, and then whatever, take all that pressure off Lace. Now, what is she doing?
Take that time and make more money.
But I bought time for both of us.
Right.
Because the time that she spends complaining to me about not helping in that space. No, I'm serious. I'm not even talking shit, right? And then the time that she's not doing that, where she can now choose when and if she wants to indulge in cooking or hosting or doing something like that. So what happens with that extra time for her, let alone me.
Right.
Right. If I have a drive, if I don't have to drive myself, if I'm going to whatever Eastern Washington to do a thing and I have to drive myself, that's 4.5 to 6 hours
Right.
of having to be focused on the road so I don't get in an accident, right? If I'm in the back seat, that's 4 to 6.5 hours worth of.
That's a full day's work.
Yeah, that's Zoom meetings, that's emailing, that's texting, that's building into something to get a return on it.
Right.
So
it's a full day work, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, my question
you can
was
accomplish a lot in a day.
My question was because I remember we talked before about you being like a traditionalist in a way.
Absolutely.
And so, if you were able to make that, whatever 6-figure, whatever that looks like, to be like, Tiff, you want to stay home?
Right.
Is that something that you would?
100%. 100%. I often feel almost less than because it's not that way. Right. And maybe the goal is to maybe get there one day. But yes, if in my perfect world, I would work, I would make enough money so that she could either choose to work if she wanted to or stay home. And then when I come home, the house would be clean, the laundry would be done, the food would be made, the kids' homework would be done, and the kids would have been under their mom all day, and everything is just this perfect, right? And then I come home from the business meeting or the day from work. Yes, that's how I would like it, 100%. But if she wanted to work, then she could, but it wouldn't be out of necessity, right? It wouldn't be out of a need. But yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? But
so what about intentional, like you're a dad?
Mm-hmm.
You call yourself Miss Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire, yeah, that's me.
So how much of that would you say is intentional parenting? And what I mean
by that?
What I mean by intentional is like what you've described is like you call it the mundane, the routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much of it is like intentional? Like the difference between intentional self-care is identifying something as I'm about to go do this for myself. So it's like when you sit down with one of your kids for a particular conversation, like are you reacting to things as they happen, or is there or do you ever find yourself engaging in that like intent and like you're on your way home and you're like, you know what, I'm about to sit my boy down and have this conversation, or I'm about to intentionally be like, me and you are going to spend some time together.
I might need you to explain it a different way. I don't think I'm understanding what you're saying.
So like we go through like we do things automatically.
Right.
You breathe you breathe automatically, right? But there's a such thing as intentional breathing.
Okay.
Like diaphragmatic breathing. You have to actually think about breathing as when we're adults to actually breathe with our diaphragm. Otherwise, we're not breathing correctly. So when I say like intentional parenting, an example would be like I can notice myself coming into my office, doing the things. The kids are like background noise, or like I'll put up my blinds if I know they're out there, and I'll just keep an eye listening or whatever. But then there's moments when I'm just like, I'm about to go to the store, and before I like leave my office, I will go find one or both of the kids and be like, "Hey, come with me."
I got you.
So that we're having that intentional.
I got you. Right.
Father kid time. And when with my older kids, we used to put on calendars. We used to
I actually remember that.
You remember? And so it would be like Olivia and Dad Day, and then for that calendar day, she gets to choose, like, and she gets to be intentional about how she spends that day with me. I remember that. And sometimes she'd invite her siblings, right? Or can I bring one friend? Right. Yeah, but it was intentional. It would say on the calendar, day with Dad. Yeah. Eric's day with Dad. You know what I'm saying? Nancy's day with Dad. Like it would be intentional. Sometimes they would share the days and invite me and Eric are going to a movie, but he want to bring Olivia. But that's his choice. It's his day. And so I've been trying to like, that's what I mean by like intentional. I got you. Like that one-on-one, like fatherhood, because when we talk about like, breaking the generational cycles, it's easy to just fall into a routine and not be intentional in the things, being aware in the moment of our energy, our impact on our kids, which leads me to the concept I was working on, that we're going to talk about, like being like masculine humility, right? Because I look for the positives in things, like with the Pi Talk podcast. We started it because it was the pursuit of internal evolution, pi, and then we're like, oh yeah, well the T is negative, the pi is the opposite, you know. So when you like, oh, let me get the T, typically that means you're about to tell me some drama, right? So then
some bullshit.
Yeah. So we're like, all right, well, let's do the pie then. You know, the pie is the opposite of that. It's the positive. Like, what are some good things happening? What are some big wins? You know, what are some things that you're proud of in your process? And before we get into masculine humility, what are some big wins when you say you feel like you didn't meet your vision, right? Mm-hmm. But what are some things that you can identify as like, I did that?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that.
Let me get like,
I'm glad you
top
asked
3.
I'm glad you asked that.
I'm glad.
I love, and this may seem so small and insignificant, but I love the fact that my kids can come to me and ask me for something. I have opened that pathway and been so reliable in that sense that my kids are very comfortable being like, hey dad, can we go do this? Hey dad, um, um, it's bedtime. Hey, I got this going on. We're making this. We're doing this arts and craft. Can we get 30 more minutes? And there's a dialogue there. You know what? Go ahead, right? I love that. Hey, Dad, my friends going to the jumpy place on on Saturday. Can we? You know what? I got you. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that. And and I've told you this. I've told you this before. I'm going to tell you again. I'm going to give myself my own compliment. But in the black community, when this is said about another black man, this is the utmost highest confidence. But I'm a good nigga, man. I'm a good nigga, and I've earned that. You know what I mean? And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. I go to work, I come home, I take care of my kids. You know what I'm saying? There's no other bullshit. I'm not in the streets no more. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I live for my family, right? And it makes me feel good. And yes, I have accomplished a whole bunch, but there has to be a more efficient way to do it. And that's what I'm getting at. That's what I need to figure out, right? Like how you said, buying time. I got to figure that part out. And then potentially maybe I could do more. But I'm a good nigga, man.
2 more. So far, you know, your kids coming to you, that's a big one.
It's huge.
That's huge. What's 2 more big wins? 2 more things that you could look in the mirror and be like, you know, Calvin, you did that. And let's just say this year, right? Since because you said this year, you feel like with the year coming to an end, you know, you feel like you didn't hit the mark. But I just want to encourage you to identify where you did hit the mark.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I've been at I'm doing things that I never even knew were possible, right? I put into a retirement. I got life insurance for not life insurance, but I got policies for my kids so that when they get older, they have a little bit of a nest egg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been doing adult things this year, and things that I didn't, my mind never even, I was naive to the whole situation. I've been at multiple jobs for multiple years. We're talking 4 years here, 4 years at this one, over 2 years at this one. You know what I mean? There was a time in my life I couldn't even keep a job more than 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
I remember, and for those of you that have been following our individual stories, there's a lot of different content on even just this channel, All right. So the YouTube channel, Pie Talk Podcast Productions, there's if you go to playlist, you will see From Prison to Peer Work. And those are interviews. I advise you to find Calvin's interview, and then you will understand more where he was and what we're talking about now.
I was sleeping behind a dumpster.
they could go watch the interview.
Now look at my life.
It's like the story's there. Like it's impactful. It's powerful. It's meaningful. Like the changes that we've been through as individuals, as men, and as Black men in our society. Like that's to me, and I stand with you on this. Being a father that has never turned from my kids or has never been like unreliable or somebody that all of my kids, biological or not, that I've raised their whole lives to be able to say like, or hear them even as adults, like we hang out or we play card games and like I always call my dad. I just call my dad. I just like that right there has always been a point of immense pride for me is you can say I was a cheater, you can say I was a gangbanger, you can say I was a criminal, you can say I was an addict, you can say all these, you can give me all these different labels, but you can't take it away from me that my bond with my kids is from always being there. Even when I was in jail, I was always there. I would call them or they would visit. They knew that they could count on me. Like my older daughters having that safe place where no matter what's going on, they could tell me and I wouldn't freak out or judge them or make them feel bad about a decision that they made. Instead, I would get into like, I was almost a peer counselor parent before I ever went into peer counseling, because I would always be like, okay, I would lead them to come to their like own conclusions about like, all right, validate like, damn, that seems, fucked up, right? And then there's times where like my oldest daughter years ago, right, would call, and even though she might not have been where she's supposed to have been, right? Say she went to a party, and then the things that I remember thinking about would be like, okay, she just called me and it's 1 a.m. and she's like, Dad, the police came to this house we were at. Me and my 2 friends are down the street. Like, can you come get us?
Right.
And it's like, I get in the whip and then I think to myself and I throw some blankets in the car or something. Yeah. Get there, the little spot where they're hiding or whatever, and they get in the car. And it's like one of those things where I'm like, hey, there's blankets back there. Right. Are your friends going home? Or are they coming to the house? Do I need to call any of their parents? And then nothing.
Then we're just
And then in the morning, like, hey, what happened? Right? And not being that dad that just like freaks out, and it's just like, because at the end of the day, I'm a big picture thinker, right? So I can also, when it boils down to like, if I play a movie through and the end result is, say, not that big of a reaction. So an example would be like, say somebody lied and I caught them in it, but they don't know. Right. And then I play the movie out of me confronting that person about whatever the lie is. Okay. And at the end of that movie, like in my mind, I play it out and I'm thinking like, what's the point? Right. What's the end result? Are we going to stop being friends? Am I just making this person feel shameful or right? And obviously depending on the significance of the situation. Right. But I think in terms like that, and then I'll decide, it ain't worth bringing it up. Fuck it. Right. And so with my kids, with a lot of different things, I look for like, what's the most positive outcome? If I'm going to do this thing only to at the end not do anything, like, you know what I'm saying? Or know that it's not gonna affect the relationship, but it could negatively if I address it this way, then I'm not gonna address it. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like if you
pick your battles, man.
Well, yeah, it's like if you and your spouse get into it, or you and your partner get into something, and you're bringing up something, but the end result is not like you're not leaving or you're not changing anything other than to bring this thing up or whatever it is.
Or to throw it in their face or whatever.
Well, yeah, what's the point?
What's the point?
If this is the end result, let's just skip to here
Right.
without this.
Oh my goodness.
We could just fast forward. And so that's what I do. And so my wife sometimes sees it as like either I don't care or
that's not the case.
That's not the case.
It's not the case.
It's I've already watched this movie.
Right.
I know how it ends.
Oh my goodness.
I'm rewriting it.
Right.
We're just gonna
that is
end scene cut to the end where
deep.
None of that negativity
it
happens.
Doesn't fucking matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't fucking matter. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my goodness. That is music to my ears. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it's like
oh my goodness.
There's times where like, you know, people just want, I just want to have this conversation. I just want to be heard. I just want to. Okay, but why?
Mm-hmm.
What is the end result of going through this chaotic, tumultuous conversation?
What happened the last 15 times we went through this chaotic, tumultuous situation?
And then the end result is here. So I just fast forward a lot because, like I said, life now as a whole, to me, operates at incredibly low stakes when it comes to drama or opinions or engaging in anything confrontational when I lived my life where confrontations could end it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't move that way. Well, I move with a spirit of freedom.
I don't have time to be fucking arguing with you all damn day.
Oh.
Come on, bro.
And then there's this. There's this. And I seen this on, you know, somebody else. Actually, I was talking to, you know, one of my wife's friends, and it was like the minute you decide. So, say you do something, right, and it's something someone doesn't like, and you're in a relationship with them, right? That person chooses to forgive that situation and move forward with you, right? It's over. Anything after that is gaslighting. Anything after that, you're in the wrong if you're bringing it up or weaponizing it later. You had an opportunity. If somebody does a transgression or if somebody does something that you're like not okay with, and the end result is, well, I'm going to leave that person, or I'm not going to be in that relationship with that person, right? Or I'm going to set this boundary. Okay. Once it's set, or once you make the decision to go this way or that way, that's the end of that particular situation. You don't get to then bring it up anytime
as a weapon.
Yeah, it's not a bullet. You don't get to fire it off anytime you want. And if that's the case, like, you're the person now that is operating in negative energy. That's evil. Like, remember that. You know, you have the opportunity to move forward, and you choose that. Stand on it.
Right.
Stand on it. If you're in a relationship and you have some past stuff that happened and y'all broke up, when y'all decide to get back together, that's a brand new relationship. The other relationship ended. It's over. Even if it's the same two people, this is a different relationship. And so you have to base this relationship on this relationship's authenticity, actions, whatever, not the last one. And that goes for anybody entering into a new relationship. Don't hold the person accountable for the previous relationship because you had the choice.
Right.
If those things bothered you that much, don't be with that person. Love is unconditional. Relationships are agreements, contracts, and have lots of conditions. And if you don't talk about those conditions, then you're going to have constant tumultuous situations arise. And you got to be okay with yourself. You got to be okay with just being okay with not talking about every little thing, not making every little thing a thing. Be okay with just sometimes existing next to a person. You know, if I even, and this could be like a friendship, if I have a friend that does something that I'm like, that's a deal breaker for our friendship, I cut it off. But if I choose to still fuck with that person, then I'm not going to get into a heated argument. Like, remember, but 2 months ago, that's the type of person you are. Because then he can be like, well, then why are you fucking with me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, that was
don't be the homie then. Like, I'm not
kicking every day.
I'm either your friend or I'm not. Like, what is it? You know what I'm saying?
No, I do. And something else that you said in there, not to take it away from there, but you said energies. I think that's another thing that I've realized this year, or I've put a lot more thought into it. Energy, people's energy. When you first meet someone or you interact with someone daily, I think I've learned about myself this year, or at least I've thought about it consciously. I don't like to be around bad energy. And this year especially, I notice it and I tend to pick it out and I tend to realize how it affects me, right? And I've learned this year about Calvin that I would rather not put myself in those situations with people who have bad energy or always find a way to bring their energy down.
Well, and I say
You know
this.
what I'm saying?
I say this often, and so I would replace bad with negative.
Okay.
And so you're a man of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Your job requires a lot of numerical
Enough.
things, right? But a lot of people believe that the incontrovertible language of the universe is mathematics,
Okay.
right? What does negative mean?
Below zero.
So when you talk about a negative, it's a takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a minus.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone has a negative energy and they come into your space, they're taking away from the quality of that particular experience, or they're attempting to. And so that's why you get away from that, because you're like, I come with this positive energy, and then you have the people that say stuff like, "Oh, I match energy." Then you're a puppet.
Right.
If you match energy, you're a puppet, because that means this person who has negative minusing energy can come through, pluck one of your strings, and now you're converting from whatever energy you already were in to match theirs.
You were fun to be around until that person came.
And then that person comes around and you pluck that string, and then you become also into the minusing pool of energy. You become an energy vampire, right? And not contribution. So that's why and that's one thing that I've seen is I try to avoid entering into that negativity, entering into that negative energetic field. Like even when I disagree with something, I still try to disagree from a neutral place, if that makes sense. Like I try to disagree with something from like the difference between like arguing and debating.
Okay.
It's like, hey, I don't agree, like I statements, right?
Right.
I don't agree with that. But I don't mean I hate you because you agree with it.
Yeah, just means I don't agree with it.
For me, that's not real. That's not that I can't stand on.
It doesn't change anything about a relationship.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna match negative energy. If someone starts getting escalated, like my energy is positive. So wherever you're at, I start thinking of my other concept is the AC. Right. When people AC. I'll break it down. Okay. So when people get heated, when people get angry or highly emotionally activated, the physiological literally temperature rises. Okay. And so when something's hot and we're in the summertime, we think the AC, cut the AC on, let's get to where. So my concept, my philosophy was the AC that I cut on is authentic curiosity. Okay. So if someone starts to if I'm talking to someone or I'm in a space and I feel that energy you're talking about, I get authentically curious. And sometimes just that AC cools them down. It doesn't mean they go from 100 to 0, right? But it's a de-escalation.
We're in the high 80s now.
Yeah. You're coming at 100, and then I start getting genuinely curious, not like condescendingly curious. Right. That's why it's authentic curiosity, because I genuinely wonder, why is this person's temperature up so high? Right. And instead of wondering that internally and not acting on it, I cut that on in myself and I'll engage that person. Right. Man, what happened? What's going on? You seem, and sometimes a human being heard when they're walking through heated in tunnel vision, experiencing this level of whatever crisis or whatever they're in, and then somebody comes in and sees them and offers to hear them. Right. Temp goes down. Right. Temp goes down.
I feel like some people I don't know how to say this. I feel like some people almost are just so used to, they almost can turn on their bad energy, and it's probably because it's just what they do every day. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah. It could be a coping mechanism.
That's just
so it's kind of like
a coping mechanism,
like a life,
exactly,
like a troll.
Okay.
You know, people that, so like a social media troll. The definition of basically is someone that would make a comment on any type of post with the sole purpose of
like pissing everybody up.
Yeah, of igniting
controversy,
right? And there's people that's their mechanism. So whatever their past trauma was, how they survived is to be like that pot stir or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there might be people that genuinely, that's where they get their energy from. That type of bidding. You know, that's how I bid, like causing stuff, being in the center of like big controversial things, and then you get all the way down to the nucleus of it, and it's one person. And he's sitting there like, look what I did, right? And whether it's a coping mechanism or if it's just how that's their worldview. Their worldview is that they are a puppet master, and they're going to diabolically create things for their own entertainment. But I believe it all boils down to some form of trauma in their past that created this kind of coping mechanism. And then, like you said, it's been that's how they've been operated for so long. That's just what it is.
It's just comfortable for them.
Yeah, and if it's calm and quiet,
find a reason.
That's what I'm getting at.
Find a reason.
If it's calm and quiet and peaceful, things feel wrong or off for that person. And so they have to look for the next thing. And I think that's where the internet created that space for trolls, because they can do it without leaving.
Yeah,
they can literally search the web and find
from their phone.
And you know, you find a post that just has 10,000 comments. Ooh, this is a good wow. Then just say something way off the wall, way unrelated, or just with the sole purpose of creating that. And then they could just leave. And go to a different chat. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been, well, last time we talked, there was that whole incident with
I was going to ask you about that. What's the latest with that?
So we end up going to a hearing. It got dismissed.
Okay.
Which it should have been. You know what I'm saying? And it was really interesting, because remember we talked about the whole airsoft thing, and then in my curiosity, I actually Googled and did some research. I actually called a lawyer and researched it. So in Washington State, it's actually illegal for anyone under 18, unsupervised, to even have an airsoft, and they have to have an orange tip on it to identify it. And it has to be cared. So the fact that an autistic kid came to the house in the neighborhood with that, you could actually have had CPS called on you, but you're talking about you want your kids safe. So I was just like, the whole thing just blew my mind. But it's over. It's done. It's
done now.
Yeah, it's done. The judge, like, you could just totally tell he wasn't even feeling it.
You guys are wasting my time.
Yeah, he just dismissed it.
So are the kids back to playing?
Well, they're not playing with those kids. No,
that's sad, man.
I mean, you know, it is. Sad. But at the end of the day, like, you know, whatever. This neighborhood is huge, and there's so many.
It is.
And there's so many, and so what that incident just told me I need to be more intentional in my being in this neighborhood. And so, you know, I made a post, and I made a point during those couple of weeks that it was on to, anytime the kids came over with a different like set of kids or somebody new in the neighborhood, I send my number or my card or whatever. So I got like all these moms, you know, met the dads or the boyfriends or the girlfriends of the parents. And so now we have our little community within our community, like, where we know everything. We've shared, been authentic and transparent with, hey, sometimes Achilles will get in his feelings. And if that happens, his ability to regulate is not up to par. We're working on it. So just call, send him home or whatever, right? Things like that. And so there's a lot more dialogue, you know, within the neighborhood and within the functionality of the kids.
Awkward We're
Well, it's not even. It's
we're
not
all
even
playing, but we can't play with you because your parents is. That's so.
But it's not even.
dude.
And
Right.
this is the thing about kids,
That's so
bro.
dumb, dude.
Kids
don't care.
Kids are so forgiving.
Right.
If that would have never happened, they probably would have been back to playing that Monday.
The next day, they'd have been fine.
Yeah, the next day. You know what I'm saying? So like they created that whole incident
and took a friend from them, basically.
Yeah, 5.
The kids never even would have thought another thing about it.
Never. You know what I'm saying? So it really boils down to like how we navigate situations like that with our kids, but also allow them to navigate it. Because that whole process, like at one point, the first judge was like, yeah, I might want to talk to the kids. So now you actually have a 10 and a 7-year-old having to stay home to have a Zoom court to potentially answer questions directly to a judge where they shouldn't even have been in that situation in the first place.
That's crazy, bro.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, they don't even think about those kids. That's not even a thing for them. There's so many other kids and parent and other situations in the neighborhood that they're enjoying their time here. You know what I'm saying? So it's good, man. It's been good. Work is good. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm in the same boat. Like if I could get to a position where there's enough money where I can just have one account or just add her to the account and be like, hey, just do what you need to do. Everything's there.
Right.
Everything's took care of. Like if you want to work or if you want to get your cry cut out and press shirts and sell shirts on the side. Like,
do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. Like, and then let that grow into whatever it grows into. Because it's like when you have a job and you have a mortgage, which we'll have soon.
Right.
We're gonna buy this house. It's like,
oh, congratulations.
Yeah. That's a big win.
What?
Yeah.
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah. You know, so
that's what's up.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's what's up.
You know, that'll all happen like around January.
Yeah, it's beautiful too, huh?
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's good.
That's what's up, bro.
So like when it boils down to,
no fucking way, dude.
Right?
Respect. That's huge.
When we have to work.
Yeah.
And we have to show up for ourselves in that way. A lot of stress happens in our bodies, in our minds,
right.
and then you add on the different. I guess the term would be like the intersectionalities of like, okay, not only am I a black man, but I have a white wife, so we're interracial family. Where our kids are asking. Like there was a point where Aries had questions about, am I black or am I white? And and navigating those like
black.
those. Yeah, and especially in society, it doesn't matter.
Black.
If you're not this, you're that. You know what I'm saying? And
you're black.
Understanding that if we don't maintain this job or maintain a job of similar, financial income, like so, I can't at this point
go backwards.
Yeah, there's no way. I can't go to a job that's
can't go backwards
here, $1 an hour or salary, because the life that we've built is at this level,
right?
Of this is what's coming in and this is what's going out,
which is pretty much all of it.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's holidays. It's
you know what I'm saying. After another.
Yeah, and then we have a side job in the last month, no shifts from that job, so it's like you can't even sometimes count on the extra income. So I'm almost wanting to, instead of waiting on that side job. But the reason why I keep that side job is because
it's such a good job.
Such a good job. One shift is like a quarter of a check that I get from my other job. One shift.
Yeah, that's a good job.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, it depends on the timing, because after midnight, it's time and a half, and I'm a supervisor. The pay is different. So if I did an 8-hour shift at that time and a half rate, it literally is like one shift is a quarter of my every other week check for my regular job.
Right.
And so that helps. But then when there's none, and we've had months on end where the average is 3 or 4, maybe 5 shifts, you start to internally count on that. Yeah, you start to live, and then when they don't come, you're in debt.
Right.
At the very minimum, there's no saving going on.
Right.
You know, And so,
and the price of everything is going up on top of that. And yeah, man, it's just it's getting out of control. And then, like I said, here in a couple of days, it might even get worse.
Yeah. Well, I've never been in a position where, like, if my boss is like, "Hey, we're doing a work from home day," and I'm happy because I don't have to drive anywhere.
Oh my goodness!
like I'm not even thinking about it as like, oh, I get to be home. I'm thinking in terms of I get to save a little bit of gas.
Man.
Yeah, because I can not drive. I'm not thinking, oh, I get to stay home. I'm thinking I get to not drive to the office.
Right.
And actually, if I don't go anywhere, I'm starting to really train my mind to, if I don't go anywhere on purpose, I'm saving money.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of leaving is like over $100. It's like if you leave the house, it's $100. It's gone somehow, some way.
That's the minimum.
That's what me and Lacey we call it the cost of leaving. Right? It's not the cost of living. It's the cost of leaving. You leave the house, you're spending $100.
Crazy, dude, how it happens too.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like it just all of a sudden happens.
Yeah. Even my wife the other day, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna Google something to make a soup with everything I have here, and still somehow spent $28 at Safeway."
Right.
When the whole point was to
not do that.
But and it's like, and not even all of it was for the soup, mind you, but it was just like once you left,
right,
trapped. Yeah, you can't control. Gotcha. You can't control what's gonna happen with the wallet. So like, I really get into spaces where I will just happily sit here.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
For real, because to me, sitting here is residual income.
Yeah.
The kids wanting to just play in the neighborhood and not go somewhere, I'm all for it. Yep, great. Let's just stay here. It's cool. And so like Lacey's a homebody.
Yeah.
But for very different reasons.
Right.
I'm becoming a homebody because I'm starting to realize like I don't have a good strategy to save. Right? I don't. It's just being honest. I don't have a good strategy. So the strategy I'm trying is literally just not doing anything.
It's not doing anything, right?
It's not doing anything. Not going anywhere, not scrolling on Amazon cart, not looking to spend anything anywhere unless I absolutely have to.
Right.
And then, that's part of my like working on my ability to prepare for, okay, we're about to be homeowners in 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? What does that look like? And how do I manage that new, mortgage payment? How do I prepare and how do I calculate that if I get no more shifts from the side job?
Right.
Or do I go get another part-time job? Or do I contract with somebody to do some of the services that I provide, but in a way that it's like a guaranteed 10 hours a week where I'm actually getting paid and not just looking at the app. Oh, is there any shifts? Like last month, there was like one at the beginning of the month, one at the end of the month.
And what do you just I want this one. I want.
Well, because I'm a supervisor at that particular location, I will always get the option.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when the call comes out, I'm already, before they fill the call,
you're already on there.
I'm the supervisor.
Right.
Unless I say I can't make that shit.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's good. And then Lacey, because we carpool and we're a couple and we've been doing this almost the longest of anyone that's consistently on there right now, it's always going to be me and her. Unless same thing, unless she's like, she said, I can't.
I got a prior obligation, right?
Exactly. So it's like, at least we ride together because it's an hour drive. It's Seattle, it's far.
Might as well.
Yeah. But speaking of this, we'll tap into this just a little bit, right? So you've heard of like toxic masculinity and all that, all these concepts, right? And then there's like all these debates around it. So I was thinking about the term of masculine humility, which is like when a man who believes in himself and doesn't need validation from others, allowing himself to focus on his personal growth and internal strengths.
Make sure I don't have any more set. My bad.
It's all good. This is life, bro. We're humans.
What time is it? Turn off this one. All right. They're all turned off.
Oh, that was an alarm?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So And what it boils down to is like that positive energy you're talking about, right? You can have big energy. You can be strong. You can be successful. You can be you could have been a UFC trainer or whatever. You could have done all these things, but you don't have to project any of that.
Right.
So to me, the masculine humility energy is like knowing all that, but choosing to be approachable and smile and inviting. You know what I'm saying? Like that masculine humility father is the one who's the daughter goes through the thing and you're like, I'll kill him. Right. Or you sit down and you're like, well, you know what? And you iron, you know what I'm saying? You're more of that safe space. Yeah. It's the difference between like, I'll kill for you, I'll go to prison for you. But the masculine humility energy is like, man, I'll live for you. I'll never leave you. I'll always be here. Because if you go do that thing,
then what? Right.
Then every other scenario after that, you're not there for. Right.
And there's always a scenario.
Always a scenario, especially with daughters, man. It's it's just having that energy, knowing that like you're super dope at a thing, but not being arrogant or like demeaning about it, and bringing someone up as a coach or a mentor in that space that you're super dope at.
Right.
Instead of being like, the game is sold, not told type energy, where like if you got somebody up under you that admires you, not taking advantage of them, not abusing that relationship, and really like, man, here's all I know about this.
Mm-hmm. Here's the game, so you can do better for yourself.
Yeah, here's the path I took. Here's the things I see that are like being able to compliment men.
Right.
Think about that. It's so easy to go and be like a gentleman, and you see a girl at a whatever checkout, like, make a compliment, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But how many times do you honestly compliment men randomly, other men?
Right.
That's like that masculine humility.
Yeah.
That to be able to be like see something or see somebody do something.
See you, dog.
And acknowledge that with specificity too.
Right.
Hey man, when you did that,
respect. That's fire. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like giving someone their flowers before they die.
Yeah.
And having that energy regularly. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, I do. That makes sense.
So that, and that's just something I wanted to touch on. Like, what are some of your thoughts on just that?
I guess maybe it's like a societal thing why men don't get the compliments like the same way a woman would, right? But no, I think
it's not even. I don't even want to put it in the same way a woman would. I just period.
Right.
Like it's not a valued practice.
No, definitely not. Unless it's like your homeboy or something like that. But I get what you're saying. 100%. It's not. It's not at all. But that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is.
Yeah, like especially in the workplace. So like me, I seek mentors, like in chess. You know what I'm saying? The reason why you played me so much is because I whoop your ass.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
I had to throw it out there.
Yeah.
No, but
that was a good setup too.
Yeah, right.
That was a good setup too.
No, but on a serious note, like when we play, we don't never put each other down or and then at like the masculine humility, the energy that we have when we play is like, if you do something fire, I'm gonna be like, ooh,
that was nice.
That was
I didn't see that one.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and our whole game is like, like our whole game is like that, where other people will sit down and play something, and it's the competition it becomes like you're taking shots at each other the whole time. And that's a dumbass, but watch what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like where the other energy is like honoring, like seeing the bigger picture and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, and you're like having genuine like respect an authentic like admiration for like why you're doing what you're doing. That's what I mean by like men need to compliment men more and bring in, you know, especially youth. Like, hey man, and then build on it. Not only just compliment, but if you're in a position where you like can be a mentor or a leader in a space or provide more insight into something rather than seeing someone immediately as like a threat or like, man, you know what I mean? But complimenting and then being like, oh man, you probably got what it takes to do.
Right.
Is that something that interests you? Because I'm willing to, you know what I mean?
I'm willing to help you get there.
I'm willing to mentor you. I'm willing to uplift you in that space. You know what I'm saying? And that's like that also that fatherhood energy where, you know how they say like women's have that nurturing mother energy. Like a mom in a neighborhood could be a mom to everybody. Right.
It's true though.
It is. It's very true. But how do we get to a place where they can be like, man, that's a neighborhood pop. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because of how forthcoming they are with positive, uplifting, generational building instead of tearing down, you know, people and stuff like that. So that's just some stuff I've been thinking about, especially with like I really went into like some in-depth internal dialogue about all this when I was looking into the No Shave November and thinking about like men's health. And then I went and did that. I was a keynote speaker for men's mental health awareness at a youth connection. You know, they invited me to Shelton, and so pretty much ever since then, I've just been building. Right. And then we have these sessions scheduled, so I'm like, next time I sit down with Calvin, man,
it's like therapy. Yeah, it's good.
No, it is black man's therapy. I see what you did there. Yeah. But it's good, man. So I guess let's ride out. What is something that you would say you're surprised about yourself over the last year? When you say like, I've been learning about Calvin, like, what is there anything that you learned about you that kind of took you aback or like, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Kind of a sucker for these kids.
You surprised about that though?
Kind of a sucker. Kind of a sucker. You know what I mean? These kids are con artists. And somehow, some way, despite how tired I am, despite how many times I say no, we still end up going to this damn skate rink. So, yeah, I'm a sucker for these kids, man. It's all good though. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's okay.
Yeah, like I said, man, I really believe, you know, one of the most important parts of my legacy is even when I was being drugged through the mud and was in the paper and was this and that, even the prosecutor had to say, he's a good father. You know what I mean? Like, this, you know, I was there.
That's what he is.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he didn't drop the ball on that. He was just
everything else.
Yeah, everything else. But now that everything else is in alignment, I feel like I need to get back to more intentional fathering and being more intentional about, especially specific conversations with these damn digital devices. They're like learning from so many random weird sources. Right. And it's like, what? Right. Where'd you get that whole sentence from? Where'd that come from? Right. You know, and it's scary, bro. Not knowing like who's putting what or instilling what concepts and ideologies into your children under your roof.
Even at their schools, man. At their schools, you know, times are very, very different. It's important to be an active parent and be in your kids' lives, man. You'd rather teach them than have someone else teach them. So,
yeah, or at least
instill values, rather.
Well, what I was gonna say is being intentional about finding out what they're learning,
right?
Like getting to like really know your kids, because how can you either unteach or offer a new perspective if you don't know what the perspective is that you're having to redirect? Like if they're going and they're getting something that's like way off, like, no, that's not even accurate. How do you know that unless you're asking them about the different things, or and that's one thing I noticed. Like, so when I'm sitting them over here in my office, and I pop the blinds up, and I know they're just like literally like right at the end of the driveway in front of the house. There's 5 or 6 kids. I'll be listening.
Right.
I'll be listening, bro.
Yeah.
I'll be listening.
You gotta know what they're talking about, man. You gotta, you know what I mean?
And sometimes
not in a malicious way.
Sometimes I'll pop the window
Yeah.
open and say something, but a lot of the times I just be listening.
I be doing the same thing when they've been on their phone calls. I'm not being a weirdo about it. I just, when I walk by the door, if they're talking, I just stop for a second and make sure it's just all appropriate. You know what I mean? And then I keep it pushing. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'll be listening.
We look through their children's what's it called, and we monitor who they can be friends with and who they can't be friends with. There's a lot of crazy people out here, man. You got to check up on your kids, man.
Definitely.
Definitely. Especially in 2024.
What's your plans for the rest of the day?
Oh man, I gotta take these kids somewhere.
I actually got to meet with a dude to he's doing a documentary about some stuff from like the 90s that happened in our area, and he wanted me to do a couple B-rolls and stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man. So
you mean like Olympia, Lacey?
Yeah. Like Tango Wild.
Okay.
I'm supposed to meet up with him at some point today.
Oh shit.
This afternoon. That's gonna be cool.
What do you mean by B-roll when you say B-roll? What is that? I've heard that before. I don't know what that means.
I think just like a specific type of shot
on camera.
Yeah, like a specific type of shot for his documentary. Maybe asking some questions or like walking and talking and
right.
Like maybe in the area. And then I'm also going to be working on. He's actually going to film the documentary-ish style of. So everything I've ever been charged with, I'm going to go into it and break it down. So like when I was 12 years old and they charged me with assault with a deadly weapon, like I'm going to break that down and then highlight like how they overcharge, overcompensate, and try to maximize a
freaking 12-year-old.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine, bro. I couldn't even imagine Aries in 2 years.
Especially when you look at your kids now and you're like, what? Right. Because you look, I got to tell you real quick. I remember when I was like a sophomore, junior, and like you and your friends are walking and you see like some adults and you're like, we could probably beat them dudes up, right? and you felt so big, you felt so grown. Now on the other side, when I see like these high schoolers and stuff in the store, they're just boys. They're this big around, and I can't believe that at that age I really thought I could whoop a grown man. And then I see the kids now, and they're just boys. They got the braces in their mouth and the fuzz on their hair, and would snap one of these kids. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
perspective. And then, like you said, like you look at your daughter in 2 years now, like she's still a child.
Couldn't even imagine.
She's still a child.
Couldn't even imagine if
crazy.
Especially if she was the one defending herself, and then I find out that she's incarcerated. It's like
that's nuts, bro.
Yeah, for sure. But
and the mentality at 12 years old. You're a fucking child, man.
Final thoughts?
No, man. I thought that was a good session, man.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for having us, man. We appreciate you guys so much.
Like, subscribe, tap in, talk about it, put some comments in there.
Believe it or not, it's our responsibility to provide our next generation with the guidance, the fortitude, the strength,